She had known him since he was 3 days old. She'd helped feed him, played with him, and watched him grow up. She trusted him completely. And in less than 10 minutes, on a February afternoon in 2009, he destroyed her life forever. This is the story of Charla Nash, Travis the chimpanzee, and the one afternoon that changed how the entire country thinks about exotic animals. It's a story about love, blindness, literal and figurative, and a tragedy that, if you look closely enough, had warning signs for years. Let's go back to the beginning. Travis was born on October 21st, 1995, at a compound in Festus, Missouri, a place now known as the Missouri Chimpanzee Sanctuary. He was taken from his mother when he was just 3 days old and sold to a couple named Sandra and Jerome Herold from Stamford, Connecticut, for $50,000. From the very first day, the Herolds didn't treat Travis like an animal. They treated him like a child. He lived inside their home, slept in a bed, and ate at the table with them. He could eat at the table, drink wine from a stem glass, use the toilet, and dress and bathe himself. He brushed his teeth with a water pick. He logged onto a computer to look at photos. He changed the TV channel with the remote. He was fed steak, lobster, ice cream, and Italian food. This wasn't a pet owner who got a little too attached. This was a woman who had lost her daughter in a car accident, then lost her husband, and had poured everything she had left into this chimpanzee. Travis was, to Sandra Herold, her family, her reason to get up in the morning. And for years, that arrangement seemed to work. Travis even became something of a local celebrity. He appeared in TV commercials, including spots for Old Navy and Coca-Cola, and he was well known around Stamford. He was friendly with police officers he'd meet when Sandra brought him along on errands. People in town knew his name. If you'd seen him back then, you probably would have found him charming. But here is the part most people miss. Travis was a chimpanzee, not a large dog, not an unusually smart pet. A chimpanzee, one of the closest living relatives to humans, an animal built by millions of years of evolution for life in the wild, in a social group, with its own kind. And no matter how much wine he drank from a stemmed glass, that biological reality wasn't going anywhere. At 14 years old, Travis weighed around 240 pounds, morbidly obese for a chimpanzee. He wasn't running through forests, not climbing trees. He was sitting on a couch, watching TV, snacking, and slowly becoming something that the domestic setting around him was never designed to contain. The first major warning came in 2003. Travis was riding in Sandra's car when someone on the street threw trash at him through the window. That was enough to set him off. He unbuckled his seatbelt, let himself out of the car, and ran loose through downtown Stamford for about 2 hours. Police were called. Officers tried to lure him back, yet he resisted. He showed aggressive behavior toward the officers trying to handle him. An animal control officer told the Herolds at that point that keeping Travis was unsafe. That warning didn't stick. No action was taken. Instead, the family stopped bringing Travis out in public. They kept him inside. Connecticut did pass a law after that incident prohibiting ownership of primates over 50 pounds without a permit. But here's the thing. The Connecticut Department of Environmental Protection did not enforce the law on Sandra and Jerome because they had owned Travis for so long, and the DEP did not believe he posed a public safety risk. The law existed. The chimpanzee existed. The two facts just never officially met. Charla Nash, Sandra's close friend, had her own concerns. She had known Travis for years. She occasionally worked at the Herold's towing company and was a regular visitor to the house. She told Sandra, "He's going to hurt somebody." She had specifically mentioned that Travis didn't have enough space, that he needed to go somewhere more appropriate. Sandra heard it, and Sandra, who loved that animal more than almost anything in the world, didn't act on it. Now, it's important to be fair here. The official investigation after the attack found that there was no record of the chimpanzee having previously attacked anyone, and no record of the state DEP warning Mrs. Herold that the animal was dangerous. Sandra wasn't some reckless person who was ignoring clear danger to other people. She genuinely believed Travis was safe. She had seen him be gentle and loving for over a decade. But here's where primate experts would point out something crucial. Male chimpanzees, as they reach full adulthood, become unpredictable regardless of their upbringing. It's not a question of how well you raise them. It's biology. And in 2009, Travis was 14 years old and fully grown. The day started like many others. Sandra and Charla had actually just returned from a fun weekend trip to the Mohegan Sun Casino. Sandra had even taken Charla to the salon before they left, just for fun, just as friends. She joked that it was in case two eligible bachelors happened to appear. But when they returned on the afternoon of February 16th, Sandra came home to a noticeably agitated Travis. Something was off. He had taken Sandra's car keys from the kitchen counter, unlocked the door, and gone out into the yard on his own. Sandra couldn't get him back inside. She called Charla, who was nearby, and asked her to come over and help. Before Charla arrived, Sandra managed to get Travis back into the house briefly, and she gave him a cup of tea laced with several pills of Xanax, an anti-anxiety medication, to try to calm him down. Sandra initially denied giving him the pill, then contradicted herself. Toxicology reports ultimately confirmed that Xanax was present in Travis's system. Whether it contributed to what happened next is something experts say is impossible to state definitively. But some doctors noted that in humans, Xanax can actually increase aggression in individuals who are already unstable. Then Charla pulled into the driveway. She stepped out of her car holding a red Tickle Me Elmo toy, one of Travis's favorites. She was trying to lure him, trying to make him feel comfortable. But something about that moment was wrong. She had a different hairstyle and was driving a different car, which may have confused and alarmed him. And then Travis, an animal that Charla had known since infancy, lunged. Sandy came running out and started beating Travis over the head with a shovel, but he just continued tearing Charla apart. Sandy even stabbed him repeatedly with a kitchen knife, but he wouldn't stop. Sandra later said that stabbing her beloved Travis felt like stabbing herself. She said he looked at her with an expression that seemed to say, "Mom, what did you do?" And then she ran. She locked herself in her car and called 911.
Please hurry up! He's killing my girlfriend!
What is the problem?
He's killing my friend!
Who's killing your friend?
Chimp, my chimpanzee!
You can hear Sandra's voice breaking apart as she tells the dispatcher what's happening. At one point, she says, and these are her exact words, "He's eating her." The dispatcher initially wasn't sure whether to believe it. Police were dispatched and arrived within about a minute. When the first officer arrived on scene, Travis, covered in blood, walked over to the police cruiser and opened the driver's side door. The officer shot the chimpanzee 4 times with his service pistol. Travis retreated inside the house, where he was found dead next to his cage. The officer who shot Travis, Frank Chiafari, struggled with the trauma of that day for a long time afterward. His experience actually led to a 2010 bill calling for mental health care to be covered for police officers forced to kill an animal in the line of duty. When paramedics reached Charla Nash, they assumed she was gone. The scene around her was described by first responders as unlike anything they had encountered. Bits of her body littered the yard, flesh, fingers, and nearly half her body's blood. But she was alive. Doctors noted she had lost her eyelids, nose, lips, mid-face bone structure, and 9 fingers. Doctors removed some of Travis's hair and teeth that were embedded in her bones and reattached her jaw. Within the following 72 hours, she underwent more than 7 hours of surgery on her face and hands by 4 teams of surgeons. The hospital provided counseling to staff members who initially treated her because of the extraordinary nature of her wounds. On April 7, 2009, doctors announced that she would be blind for life, as both of her eyes had become infected in the aftermath of the attack. 3 days after the attack, in critical condition, she was flown from Stamford to the Cleveland Clinic, where she would spend the next 15 months. She wore a straw hat with a veil over her face. She couldn't eat solid food. She had to have pureed meals through a straw. Before the attack, Charla was an active barrel racer and horse jumper, known for her independence and strength. She had changed her own truck tires. She had been self-sufficient her entire life. Now she couldn't feed herself. She said in an interview, "I could change my own truck tire. Now I can't even feed myself." 9 months after the attack, on Charla Nash's 56th birthday, she appeared on The Oprah Winfrey Show. She removed the veil from her face on live television. It's one of the most extraordinary moments in the history of that show. She told Oprah, "I'm the same person I've always been." She said she wasn't in physical pain, and she said she wanted to get home. On May 28, 2011, Charla underwent transplant surgery performed by a team led by Bowden Pomahach at Brigham and Women's Hospital, receiving a donated face and hands. The procedure took 20 hours. More than 30 doctors and nurses were involved. It was only the 3rd full face transplant ever performed at that hospital. The transplant of the hands was initially successful, but when she developed pneumonia shortly thereafter, doctors were forced to remove them 5 days after the transplant. Losing the hands was a devastating setback, but the face transplant held. Family members said she could make expressions, and they could see emotions register on her face. Her speech was improving, and she was regaining the ability to eat and smell. These days, Nash lives on her own in a small apartment close to Brigham and Women's. She has an aide to help her Monday through Friday, but manages on her own on the weekends, which is very important to her. She told a reporter, "I've always been independent, so I just wanted to go back to what I had." Charla, who now lives in an assisted care facility, continues to undergo daily rehabilitation and speech therapy. She has slowly regained some feeling in her face and is beginning to eat solid food again. She told a journalist, "I can feel my cheek and forehead." She said she wants to ride horses again someday. She has also participated in military-funded medical research, trying to help soldiers who return from war needing transplants, even when that research led to a temporary rejection episode. Her quote about it, "The study is not a failure. They've learned so much from all my testing and my input. It'll help with the future." This woman has been through something that most of us can't even imagine, and her response has been to try to help other people. That part of the story doesn't get told enough. Sandra Herold died on May 28, 2010, just over a year after the attack, from a ruptured aortic aneurysm. She was 72 years old. Her attorney suggested that the accumulated losses of her life, her daughter, her husband, Travis, and witnessing what happened to Charla, had simply broken her heart beyond recovery. Travis's ashes were cremated and later interred in the casket with Sandra when she passed. Charla's family filed a $50 million lawsuit against Sandra, which was ultimately settled for $4 million from Sandra's estate in 2012. Charla later attempted to sue the state of Connecticut for $150 million, arguing that state officials knew Travis was dangerous and failed to act. That case was ultimately dismissed. The state generally holds immunity from such lawsuits, and at the time of the attack, private ownership of chimpanzees was still technically permitted. The Captive Primate Safety Act, which would ban interstate sale and ownership of primates like chimpanzees, has been introduced, died in committee, and reintroduced multiple times. As of 2024, it remains before Congress. It has not yet passed. Here's what this story really comes down to. Travis wasn't a monster. He was an animal, a highly intelligent, social, physically powerful animal, who was taken from his mother at 3 days old and placed into a world that was never designed for him. He couldn't have been expected to stay gentle forever. That's not how chimpanzees were created to act. And yet the systems that should have intervened didn't. The laws that existed weren't enforced. The warnings that were given weren't taken seriously. Sandra Herold wasn't a bad person. She loved Travis with everything she had. But love, it turns out, isn't enough to override nature. Charla Nash walked into that driveway holding a stuffed toy. She was just trying to help her friend. She paid a price for that afternoon that no person should ever have to pay. She's still here. She's still fighting. And in a strange way, by participating in research, by speaking out about exotic animals, by simply refusing to disappear, she's still helping other people, even now. If there's anything this story leaves you with, it's probably this. Wild animals are wild animals. No matter how long they've lived in your home, no matter how many TV commercials they've appeared in, and no matter how much you love them, you can't change what they are. And when we ignore that, it's always someone else who ends up paying the price. Thanks for watching.